Greetings. Grand Rising. It's Good Friday, August 22nd. It's about 7 in the morning. I woke up with a lot on my mind, and this is I labeled it Freedom Friday. Kind of set ourselves free from the same type of characteristics and traits and things, but ultimately this video is going to be in reference to toxic traits, toxic relationships. It's kind of a difficult video because the reality of it is most toxic traits are learned. The reason why most of us are in toxic relationships is because that's what we saw growing up. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is passed down from our parents, family members, and is embedded in our DNA because a lot of times our parents didn't know how to be in relationships that were productive. I can vouch for that firsthand. There's a lot of things that I've learned from my mother, my father, lack thereof, my father being around, things like that I carry with me going forward. And it's my personal goal to set myself free from some of those characteristics and try to not repeat them in my relationships, as well as not pass them on to my children. Most people don't realize that their family, immediate family, brothers, sisters, aunts, hold on to negative grudges, negative things from their childhood and traumas. And because these things are deeply embedded, some of us try to suppress these feelings, which turn into shadows, which actually get stronger because now they've been held back for so long that when they come to the surface, they come out whenever we go through something, stress, high stress situations, drinking, whatever kind of ordeals, those shadows come out. And when they come out, especially if we don't know them or deal with them, they're real ugly. It's really sad because I firsthand know people who actually get enjoyment out of scaring kids. I've seen some people go to a child who's being peaceful and say, boo, yeah. And when the baby cried, like, oh, no, don't cry. Not realizing you're inciting this fear in a child for your entertainment. And it's sad because the individuals don't realize they're doing it. And if you call them on it, or if you bring it to their attention, they will think you are the negative person. They will say you are the one judging, not realizing as an adult, that characteristic in itself is kind of perverse. It's kind of sick to even want to see a baby cry and then you laugh behind it, you know? But it's sad because these same individuals grow up, have children, and do the same thing to their kids, you know? And the method in which we talk to our children in itself, if you pay attention and listen to it, is negative, especially when you talk to young children a certain way. And I only mention that is because toxic traits are passed down throughout the family. And the sad part is, once you have embedded these things into your children, or the things have been embedded into you, you go out into the world and hope to find someone that you can be compatible with. And you do. Me personally, I'm a first-hand experience of the toxic traits that I had in me that I attracted to me through my partners, my kids' mothers. And they're not to blame for it because those toxic qualities were in myself. And it wasn't until I decided that these qualities were toxic and I looked to change them that I started having relationships problems. And it was for the best, you know, just being totally transparent. A lot of times, anytime you want to do better, you want that person that you're with, your partner, to do better as well. Not realizing that might not be that mission for them. That might not be the path for them. And that's when a lot of toxic relationships started to come to the head. A lot of underlying things brew. A lot of things that people didn't like their parents doing to them being judged on, they then forecasted or projected onto their relationship partner. And I only brought these toxic traits up and things is for like this Friday to self-evaluate. Sit and meditate. Think about, like I said, when you meditate for like a minute, 60 seconds, if the first things that come to your head are, you know, toxic or negative, just by you sitting alone, then you may have some qualities and traits you might want to work on. That might be the shadow in you that's coming to surface, and you might need to look into it. And you don't have to. I've said before that a lot of times I've been called judgmental, and I realized that that person was actually right. And I wasn't always judgmental of that person. At one point we meshed, we clicked, and we were on the same page. And when growth and evolution comes into the fold, certain things can change your dynamic. A lot of times my relationships went south once my kids came into play. And most people say, yeah, the man does this and he changes. And honestly, I did change. I changed because I realized that certain things that I was doing when I didn't have kids, I didn't want them to pick up on those qualities. Or if I did, I wanted to have those qualities and traits under some type of control. That way I could convey information. And if you're doing that and the person that you're in a relationship with doesn't understand that, or even doesn't even acknowledge those things, that is what can turn the relationship toxic. That is what can make a lot of things come to a head that honestly shouldn't be things that are deal breakers in a relationship. But if one individual in a relationship doesn't see the growth benefit to changing certain characteristics, that will drive a wedge between people, which in all essence is a good thing, because everything is really individual growth. You have to want to be happy. And in order to be happy, you have to know what makes you happy. And another person cannot make you happy. And that's the real sad part about most relationships. People get into relationships thinking someone else can make them happy. And happiness comes from within. You have to make yourself happy. You have to know what it is you like. And again, thinking that somebody's actions are what you like is a delusion. You do what you like, and that person that you're in contact with, the relationship or whatever have you, they should be a mirror. So when you do things you like, there should be a reflection similar to that. And if that's the truth, then you guys should actually always be on the same page. Sometimes things may seem a little different, a little rough. A lot of times when arguments come about, most people are saying the same thing. But because of how we choose to hear things and our perspective, sometimes it can sound really, really like we're arguing. When if you just take a minute, a lot of the conversations be the same. I just woke up with this heavy on my mind. So, today is a day of inner work, reflecting on himself, and being honest with yourself. Most people don't know how to be honest with themselves. Most people, I hate to say it, because they don't really like themselves, they go to outside sources and depend on it. I was one of those people who, I got mad, I wanted to drink because I didn't want to deal with myself, not realizing that I'm mad because, first of all, I probably got control issues. The person that I'm mad at probably won't do what I want them to do. And most likely what I want them to do is something that's probably stupid anyway, you know what I mean? Especially if I'm worked up enough to be angry and argue about it. Not to mention, the same thing, when you drink, you allow another entity or spirit to take a hold of you. And I'm not judging. I take a drink. I do drink. But I have to start realizing before I go to any type of outside substance, I have to be good within. You ever seen those people who, when they drink, they're always smiling and always happy? That's because they did some shadow work on the inside. Now, sometimes they do that as a facade. Those people who drink and they're always sad and always emotionally, always crying, they're really sad on the inside. And the drinking is bringing it to the surface. And I'm only mentioning these things because a lot of times, these are the people we keep in our circle. These people we keep around us. Now realizing all energy is transferable. Anybody you're around a lot, you pick up their characteristics and they pick up yours. So if you have a lot of negative family members, friends, that negativity is first a reflection of what you got going on in you. And secondly, it permeates and it comes to you. You pick up a lot of negative qualities. And again, it's not a judgment thing, it's just sometimes you have to realize it, Sometimes you have to recognize things. And that's if you want to change. Now, I do apologize that for those who hear this video and they get offended or might feel away, that's because you have toxic traits that are coming to the surface, and you naturally want to get defensive. If somebody comes to you and tells you something, even if it's unsolicited, and you naturally get upset, it may be some truth to it. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody likes unsolicited advice. If I didn't ask you, don't tell me nothing. And I get that. I get that. But sometimes it takes a bigger person just to look at the root cause. Like what made that person see that in me? And evaluate it. The beautiful part about it is you can evaluate it, and if you don't feel like it fits you, if you don't resonate with what they're saying, you don't have to keep it. You don't even have to give that person a rebuttal. They could tell you what all the crazy things that they think about you. You can say, okay, and choose not to feed into it. Now, don't get me wrong. I haven't mastered that. Sometimes sometimes you gotta let a person have it. Like let them know that hey, I'm not the one to play with. But sometimes, most of the times, they're not worth your energy. Most of the times they're not worth their energy. And a lot of times in relationships, when that person is not on the same accord and you guys go apart, and there's a feeling that, you know, we want to fix it and rekindle it and try to get it back. A lot of times that's just the negative part of you wanting to rekindle with the negative part of them. If you really, really, really sit and think about it, a lot of times y'all only argue because y'all want to control one another, or because both of y'all are always in a altered state. If you're in a relationship with somebody and the best times you have is when you guys are drinking or smoking, then you're not being your genuine self to that person. That person not being a genuine self with you. I used to have a lot of toxic relationships where I could only be around people when I was drinking. At that time, they were entertaining and fun for me. So immediately when I stopped wanting to drink, when I started to fast and clear my body out, me and these people would always bump heads. And not even, when I say relationship, it doesn't have to be something like a romantic relationship. It can just be friendship. You know what I'm saying? It can be just somebody you kick it with, homeboy. You feel me? And every time you're around this person, y'all argue about something stupid. That's the toxicity in both of you. You know? And the beautiful, sad part about a lot of relationships that they all run their course. Now, some relationships or bonds are lifetime. They last for a long time, and they are actually more beneficial when you're not around that person all the time. There's some people who I can see I haven't seen in years, and when I see them, we pick up like we never left nothing, because we have a genuine bond. Our spirits have soul ties, you know what I'm saying? And that can be male or female. It doesn't have to be, like I said, a romantic aspect. A lot of people believe that when you have a soulmate or a soul bond, it has to be the opposite sex and it's all romantic. No, you can have soul bonds and soul mates that are of the same sex, and they're just really, like, on this planet they call them best friends or besties or, you know, what have you. But those are just really other entities or spirits that really resonate with you. And you guys have cosmic contracts where you guys have always been around each other. Your essence has always been in tune with this other person. Different lifetimes, like Erykah Badu, I see you next lifetime. These are soul contracts. But I won't carry this video out too long. It's just something I had to get off my chest. A lot of these videos are my therapeutic, my therapy. I do these videos and watch them again because they actually help myself. This is me talking to myself in the fourth dimension, so to speak. But I won't get too wrapped up into that, not today anyway. But I encourage everybody on this Good Friday to do a little soul searching. Sit and meditate. You know, find out what you really like. Find out if the people that you keep in your close circle are people you really like. A lot of times we're around people just because they're in close proximity. And it's sad. It's really sad when you start recognizing that amongst other people. You can't save everybody. Some people have to go through certain things. I know people right now who are around each other every day and they really don't like each other. And they shouldn't, because they're toxic people. But it's not my mission. It's not my thing to fix them. They have to learn for themselves. And everybody who goes through something, it is a lesson. Sometimes you watching other people and their toxicity is a lesson for you. Sometimes you don't have to go through it. But now, if you get this lesson and you don't pay attention, it's guaranteed that you will have to repeat that cycle. And next time it will be you going through the toxicity. So for those who have kids, learn for your kids. Teach them better. Teach them growth. That's all parents are really supposed to do. We're supposed to be the foundation to help our kids catapult off of it. A lot of times the parents are the quicksand, and that's the sad part. But hey, man. Again, this is Loso, in case you didn't know so. I'm out.